Say it loud.
Chief of the Department of Health.
That would be another target for what you're talking about. Okay. Up here, what's the issue?
Pollution. I mean, the problem is pollution. The issue is black goo. That's where it is.
Black goo. So what do you want to do? You want to stop the black goo.
We want to stop the venting of the black goo.
Who can do it?
Charles did.
Charles, right? Potentially also Ryan.
Right.
Good. Issue? What's the issue?
The reroute of the truck.
Reroute the trucks. Who can do it?
Charles.
Charles Udall. Good. All right. You've all identified issues, sometimes multiple ones. No one identified clean up the aquifer?
Yeah.
We got that.
Dr. Stevens did.
That would be an issue too, right? Who would be the target to clean up the aquifer?
His brother Ryan.
Okay. The chief of Department of Public Health or the governor. He might be the secondary target, but yeah. Okay, good. So we're all talking about Charles Udall. So altogether, what does Charles Udall want? Give me some examples. What do you know he wants?
He wants to keep things the way they are.
Okay.
He wants votes to get to
He wants votes. What else does he want?
Keep his Republican guy in the legislature.
Keep Republican power in the legislature. What else? What else does he want?
Money.
Money. He wants to keep making money. Yeah.
He needs their vote. If
Yeah.
he's going to vote.
Okay, so he wants high profits. He wants Republican power. He wants votes. What does he fear? Bad exposure. Good. She was listening.
Regulation.
Regulations. What else?
Abandonment.
A Democrat in office.
Financial abandonment.
Financial abandonment. Losing money. He probably fears losing votes. Right? What?
The professor who's raising hell about stuff.
I don't think he fears her much. She hasn't shown much power.
We have attacked.
So whose relationship? There you go. Who is he in relationship with? Did anyone identify any secondary targets?
We said
Relationship with
fellow
the
colleagues.
Whoa. You were so good on targets, a specific person, and you identified fellow colleagues?
But we don't have any concrete people.
Well, then you don't have any secondary targets. There are secondary targets in here. Who are some potential secondary targets to influence
Ryan.
Who? Jane Quick. Does she have more influence over Charles Udall than you do? Isn't he running against her for Congress?
Mark King.
My sense is she has no influence over him.
Bruce Kent.
Who's Bruce Kent?
Governor.
Why does he have more influence over Udall than you do?
Because he's on the same side as Charles Udall.
So is crazy guy on the street. That doesn't mean he has more influence over Charles Udall than you do.
Couldn't he find
Because his brother works for him.
Because he's the governor. He can do stuff to him. Good. Why do you have more influence over the governor than you do over Charles?
Because I can realize
Vote for him.
Vote for him. Good. Good secondary target. Anyone else? Other secondary targets?
The better manufacturers group, the lobbying group, you can draw attention to the fact there's a conflict of interest by their findings and
Maybe. Now here's what I want to know. How do you have more influence over them than you do over Charles Udall? Do you vote for them? Do you give them money? Do they like you crazy environmentalists at all?
it could be embarrassing to point out that they're like working together and it's a conflict of interest and their findings are trumped up because of their
Okay, it's a conflict of interest, not to them. They're for better manufacturers. They're a group of manufacturers. They're a bunch of Charles Udalls. So here's what I don't think you have more influence over them than you do over Charles Udall in this scenario.
You know who else he fears? Not necessarily. He's not in a relationship with her because I had to rethink that. But he does fear Jane Quick because
Sure.
she's the sitting congressman.
Mm-hmm. He might also fear some of those progressive senators, right? Those might be your allies on this campaign. So what sort of tactics would you think of to impact some of these things? Yeah.
Exposing some type of news camera, bringing these kids in with the diseases, showing out.
Bring a bunch of sick, wheezing kids to his doorstep.
And the elderly.
There you go. And the elderly.
Because if you mess with the young people and the elderly.
Charles Udall, why are you poisoning innocent children? Yeah. That's how you cut an issue.
I got it.
Yes.
Get Jane Quick on your side by convincing her that she needs to get the woman vote. to beat Charles.
Wait. Do you have any evidence she cares about the women vote? She's a
She is.
Republican who always sides with big business.
Right. But she
My experience is those people don't really care about the women vote too much.
But he has a lot of money, and he might be able to.
That's
oversee
true.
her.
Do you see anything to suggest that Jane Quick cares about pollution?
No.
I'd be careful about thinking about her as an ally then. Yes.
Get Mark King, Danny Valdez, and Donna Small on your campaign.
There you go, some good allies. To do what? How is that impacting what he wants or fears?
Because we talked about numbers giving, if we're talking about power, they can help rally large numbers of people.
Sure, they could also threaten things like we're going to introduce new legislation to ban all chemical plants in this state, right? So they could impact some of those things. They could maybe try to get an attorney general to sue him, which would impact his need for money. What's another tactic you could do to influence what he fears?
We were talking, well,
Or take away what he wants?
about blocking the truck, the route, because then he
Okay.
can't make the money.
Yeah, could you find a way to boycott? Could you go to the people who are in business with him, right? And do actions on them until they stop doing business, right?
Why would they want to do that if they get?
Because you're publicly embarrassing them,
Okay,
right? Why are you giving money to someone poisoning my kids?
okay.
Your kids, man.
What?
I said your kids matter too.
My kids.
Not driving.
His kids.
The people, his kids that matters too. The one that's driving, his kids get sick from it also.
That's true. Now, I'm sure Charles Udall's kids live far away from town in a nicer neighborhood. That's the way things work, right? But yeah, okay.
So, say for instance, a plastics company that makes plastic bottles buys part of their chemicals from Charles Udall. And you guys basically say, okay, we're going to boycott this plastics company. We're not going to buy any
There
of
you
your
go.
products, and we're going to start a regional or a nationwide boycott until you stop buying chemicals from Udall.
Is that a good tactic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how much power does it take to execute that? A lot. You need a lot of people behind you. But that's okay.
But
It's a
now,
lot of work.
just flipping it on the other side, what could he do to prevent everything that we're talking about doing to him? What could he do?
There's lots of things. He's a big rich guy.
Okay, so I mean, so could all these suggestions that we're posing
Sure.
be moved if he's big enough?
Sure, and then you have to react, right? So this is why you need to be building power. So that you're strong enough to get into fights with powerful people who are poisoning your community to stop them from doing it.
But it's like Madigan, like you said. You know, I mean, a lot of things.
Oh, you need a lot of power to take on Mike Madigan.
So I guess what I'm getting at is this just a structural way of just understanding how to go about it?
No.
Because I'm looking at it as, if you look at the flip side, what about him putting the move on you? All these strategies that we brought up, if he's powerful enough like Madigan, I'm sure they tried things and they lost.
Yep. Hey, I cannot guarantee you victory, right? The road to justice is a long and hard one. This is the questions you need to ask to even have a hope of getting there.
Oh, I see.
Everything is going to require you building power and being ready for people to fight back, because they will, right? There's a reason that people who fight for justice often end up in prison, right? This is the sort of thing that happens. For instance, just so you all know, secondary boycotts are technically illegal in the United States. That's some bullshit because we live in a very highly capitalist country that decisions are made by people with money. So it's illegal to boycott someone for something that someone they buy stuff from does. We can still do it. I think we should, because that's a stupid law that's really unfair and is in the favor of rich companies and not normal people, right? But if you did that tactic, it's possible you would get in jail. It's possible. People could do that, and that's one of the potential repercussions from your action. But that doesn't mean it's not a good tactic. So tactics are the way you impact this, to change this person to get what you want, right? And this methodology applies whether you're trying to move national health care legislation or trying to get a slum landlord to clean up his building next to you, right? You gotta understand these things. You gotta do this sort of analysis and then come up with really good and creative tactics. We could do a whole workshop on fun tactics, because tactics are the best. But there's a reason I make that question last, because most of us want to jump to tactics before we figured out the rest of the strategy. So you've got to figure this out and then figure out how to impact